Hi, we're here in front of St. Paul's School in North Lethbridge, and I'm here today with Allison Pike. Allison is the Alberta Motor Association's coordinator of the school safety patrols, and we're going to talk about safety with pedestrians and all around schools today. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you. Nice to be here today, Sherri.
Thank you for being here. In September, students went back to school, and behind us we can see the school patrollers hard at work doing their very important job. What are some tips for pedestrians, whether they're students or adults, pedestrians in general, to get to and from school safely?
Absolutely. So when pedestrians are out, we need to remind pedestrians that they need to cross at legal crossing points. Legal crossing points are either a marked intersection with a marked crosswalk or at a street corner, and those are the safest locations for them to cross. We also like to remind pedestrians that they need to be not distracted when they're walking. So they're going to take their earbuds out, not listening to music when they're crossing the road, as well as putting their devices away. And then we use a procedure called the 3 Ps. They are point, pause, and proceed. So when pedestrians are crossing, we ask them to point their arm to indicate to drivers that they'd like to cross the road. This lets drivers know what direction they're going and that they're trying to communicate with the driver. Then we move on to the pause. We want pedestrians to pause and to really check. We want them to check in all directions around them and to be making eye contact with drivers. We want pedestrians to wait until cars come to a complete stop before they proceed across. And then we move on to proceed. And when our pedestrians are crossing, we want to remind pedestrians that they're not running across the road, they're walking while they're crossing, and they're also continuing to watch up and down the road, see if there's another car that's coming that might be a distracted driver, and really paying attention when they're crossing the road.
Don't just expect that everyone's going to look for you.
Absolutely, and just because we put our arm out and point doesn't mean that drivers are going to stop. And same with when we come in different locations across southern Alberta, there are crosswalk buttons. And even when we push a crosswalk button, we need to know that when we push that crosswalk button, we still need to pause before we proceed. We need to be checking to make sure drivers are seeing us.
Okay, well, back to our intrepid school patrollers behind us. When motorists come upon a school patrol team in a crosswalk, how should they behave?
Yeah, so across southern Alberta, we do have patrollers out on the crosswalk. They've been out there for over 80 years in Alberta. And during that time, when a patroller's on a crosswalk, there's been 0 serious injuries or fatalities. So it's really important that they are in our communities and that drivers know how to react when they come across a crosswalk. So they need to be watching that the patrollers, when the patroller puts a stop sign out, that drivers need to come to a complete stop. The patrollers are also using the same 3 Ps, so they are using point, pause, and proceed. So they'll point and put their stop sign out, and that lets drivers know that they have pedestrians that want to cross. And then when they pause, they're also trying to make eye contact with drivers. It's really important that drivers come to a complete stop. Often drivers think that it's okay just to roll along, but they really need to come to that complete stop. And then the patrollers are making eye contact with drivers. We need drivers to be paying attention and not distracted. And then the patrollers carry on and say proceed, and the pedestrians cross. Now, drivers often will look and see that the pedestrians are all crossed, but they might not see all the pedestrians. So they need to wait until the patrollers have put their stop sign behind their back before drivers carry on.
Especially at a school, and especially in elementary school, because these are tiny people and there's lots of them.
Absolutely, and on this crosswalk we can see that they're covering 4 crosswalks. So there is a lot that these patrollers are looking at when they're crossing pedestrians, and they are aware of the surroundings around them, and drivers might not see all those areas.
Right. Any other tips that you can give us for motorists or pedestrians?
Absolutely. So just a reminder to motorists as we come up to the fall and winter season, when we get some of that stuff called snow and our windows are fogged up in the morning, we need to make sure that we're clearing our windshields so that we can see around us. When we leave our driveways in the morning, make sure that we wait until all of our windows are clear before we go. And for pedestrians, just really making sure that we're taking those earbuds out, we're not distracted pedestrians, we're not texting while we're crossing the road. And then also, as winter approaches for those pedestrians, that we're dressing for safety. We're wearing a toque rather than pulling up our hood. We're making sure that we have that visibility around us so that we can be watching and we can be seen when we're out at the crosswalks.
Excellent tips. Thank you very much, Allison.
Thank you, Sherri.
Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned and stay safe.